Okay, we're here. Let me know out there in the in the group chat group if you're out there and that you can hear me. Most of all, I'm going to see how many people are coming in, and we'll definitely begin the webinar and the actual um, talk uh, from it. So it's only 8 p.m. and I don't see anybody yet. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Tamara. So I see that you are here. Again, this is a live recording, so it'll begin very soon where, I'll cut some of it out. I have 3 viewers so far. Been with for an hour already. All right, Tamara, thanks for your patience. Sorry, we thought it was 7 p.m. It was supposed to be the 8th. So I don't know what's going on with that. Sometimes Google does that. So, but thank you for your patience. At least you didn't have to go anywhere. You just had to stand by the phone, right? Galian, hey, welcome. How you doing? I think gotta make sure you're in the right chat group, which is real estate investment discussion. Okay. Oh, thank you, Tamara. You did get to watch the digital marketing one. Good, good. There is another webinar, digital marketing webinar. All this is free education, free information for those who want to get ahead on their business practices. And I believe we got 2 viewers. So let's see. I'll wait for a few more to come in, and I'll start. And if you like to, please just go ahead and type in questions, any information, anything you have for me now. It'll be perfect, and I'll begin soon enough. Hey, Vanessa, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Again, those who are here live with me out there in the weekday, if you have any questions about real estate, you get one of my preference points only because you're participating. How you doing, Esther? Good to see you guys. Okay. And I'll just wait a few more seconds and I'll begin. Again, it's HQ time, so I don't know if some of you guys play that. And I happen to compete with HQ. And it's also a recording, so I'm not starting the recording yet. Some of you who are here, I'm very informal right now. But when we begin the recording, it's almost like that's what goes out there. And I'll speak more about it. So let's see. I'll just begin in a little bit. And if you have any questions, let me know, okay? So I'll begin in 3, 2, 1. Good evening, guys. This is Will Puente here, broker Will Puente with you about real estate again. And I'm hoping the last webinar, if you did not catch it, it's a link. Just go there and you can actually catch up on what happened. I'm doing these once a week. This is the second one. I was not able to do one last week, but again, these recordings are all going to be staggered. And you can go there and catch up, get your notes, join the GroupMe app. Here's the GroupMe discussion. We just had Kelly just join. And questions, please shoot questions because these discussions go very well. And especially about this one, which is about comparisons, comparables. Real estate overall, the foundation of this is comparables. So you need to very much understand it. If you're out here joining us tonight, thank you so much. This is the second video, and you can kind of watch this one and get back to the other one because it is a recording and it is up. Your payment, free information for you, your payment will be for you to share this video or other people to join. That way I can continue to provide for you this free education. I'm a strong believer on free education, but overall, I'm gaining value on your promotion. So that's definitely part of freebie marketing. Marketing Academics 101. So let me continue on real estate investments, of course, on our presentation. And this one is about property values or comparisons. Last week, I explained to you this as my synthesis on how to make money in real estate. And I believe I put it simple: find, rent, aid, and fund. Someone is doing any of these. And then the last one, of course, was education, which is one of the biggest money makers of all. And the fact that I'm giving it to you for free is still incredibly valuable. And it's just because it gives you an insight on all of these. So you got to be careful with the education side, but also because of the information on how to get that. This property value assessment, this is for all of them, for people that find properties, wholesalers, people that aid others on their properties, like brokers, agents, appraisers, etc. Rental landlords. I know we have out there Tamara as a rental landlord, and funders, people that lend on. You always need this property value, but that word value is very loaded. Okay, this is not just in real estate, but in everything. Even when you speak value as far as the stock, you ask, what is it? What is value? Value has to do monetarily on the system, because there is value on things that have sentimental value. To someone, it's very important, but there's no, the word priceless is perfect when you talk about a diamond on an engagement night, but you still need to talk numbers, because priceless doesn't give you anything. And in real estate, priceless is not a good thing. Property value is a monetary, quantifiable value for your property on the market. And the market are the people that are trying to obtain that asset for a certain price. Okay. So this property value is up in the air locally. It depends on your area. Anyone that tells you, hey, I can give you an equation property value, can be very far off. This is why Zillow gets in trouble. Zillow gives you a number, a sestimate, they call it. But that sestimate has different factors, where I know that in Houston, Texas, land is worth a lot. People love land. People want space. God forbid my neighbor is not an acre away. That's Texas. But in New York is, I want to be close to everything. I want my neighbor to be upstairs, to my down, to my left, to my right. That's the value I give it. So overall, the equation changes depending on locality. I did put something here. This is a Google image I found, and it's pretty dead on overall the property value. You know, it's about location, it's about the market, the condition of the home, which means how you repair it, how you don't. The neighborhood, is the neighborhood good? That includes schools, that includes parks, people that value that. Hold on, you could be in the Heights, in Houston Heights, where not necessarily the parks are the big end. Maybe it's the workout areas. And or you could be in Kingwood, Texas, where the schools are everything, because all the schools there are great. And the age of the home, because you're not going to compare a 70s area property to the 80s build or the 90s build. So that is all a factor equation. Tamara says the majority of property values keep going up. We bought a house for about 65,000. Now the homes in subdivision are going close to 130. Yes, Tamara, that's something we've definitely seen, even on my own properties. And that depends on the market itself. The Houston area saw an increase in employment in the past 10 years. Therefore, these people make more, which they want to get closer to their job. People don't like traffic, so they'll pay more. That's part of the real estate pattern. This doesn't mean that everywhere in the world that value is going to go up. Maybe there's layoffs in that area. Therefore, will decrease employment and decrease value on that market, on the properties. So it just depends on, again, goes back to locality, situation. Okay. So good point, Tamara. Thank you for saying that. Let's go. What is a comparable? I put this, and I'm going to do the broker thing that no broker ever does. But I'm going to use vehicles as a concept for you guys to definitely get comparables. Why? Because vehicles is simple. If you wanted to sell your vehicle, you probably use a Kelley Blue Book, and you go there and you actually assess your vehicle up to the standards of other vehicles. Your condition, is it fair, good, or bad? And you get a number. I wish real estate would be this easy, but it's not. Real estate does not have a Kelley Blue Book. Kelley Blue Book is like the appraiser snap in a snap, and you can get a number, and you can even get a low wholesale number. Like as in, if you went straight to the wholesalers, which are the dealers, and give them the car, and here are the keys, and here's your money, or if you went to shop it around. I wish things were that easy in real estate, but you don't have that. There is no Kelley Blue Book for a purpose, because a vehicle can move. A vehicle can go anywhere. You can take that vehicle from Houston to Dallas, and it's probably that mobility does not change its value. A property is stable. It's in one place. You can't move a property. You can move a house. You can move a structure, what brokers call an improvement, but you cannot at all move that. So that gives it a certain value. That value is important because you can't move it. Therefore, this home that looks exactly the same in Houston will be probably a lot less than that home somewhere in Dallas, okay? Because of the location itself. Land cannot move. Therefore, getting comparables are more difficult. So this is why you absolutely need to know how to do this. And at the end of the day, I'm actually not teaching you the how, but I'm teaching you the what. What is a comparable, okay? So how to compare. Overall, let me tell you this. These are all buildings across the world. You look at this building and you can't compare. It's so incredibly difficult. One, you have the Sears Tower in what's probably called the Williams Tower now in Chicago. You have other towers that are in Manhattan that are really close to each other, including the Chrysler buildings, real close to this one. But they still don't compare. They're all different, completely different in shape, completely different in location. These are what you call comparing apples to oranges. Impossible to compare. What you want to do is get them as close as you can. And that close as you can, the apple to apple, it's the factors. So there will never be, and this is a physics situation, there will never be a piece of land that will be exactly the exact same worth as another, because those factors are completely different. If they're next to each other, that still means that one is west and one is east, and they're exactly the same. There's absolutely something, but that close proximity gives you an idea to say, hey, well, if one twin sold for a certain price and the other twin, there's not much difference, could sell for that. So this is why I showed you this picture here. This would be a nightmare for a broker. There's no way for you to understand the values here. Even the value of one room in one of these, you don't understand. So, and it changes. On top of that, values change. They usually change in 6 months increments. People don't even know that. That's why when someone gives me an appraisal for about 2 years ago, I tell them nicely, hey, listen, I am so sorry, but that is out of date. On top of that, it's an appraisal. And I'll explain to you a little bit on how it's different than the comparison, right? So overall, difficult to compare. That's really what I wanted to kind of get you to understand. So brokers, agents use a tool called multiple listing service. This is kind of sort of our blue book, but the blue book that only really agents can use. Not because you guys are not at that. I bet you some of you guys can compare super easily from experience. It is because it's actually guarded. You have to pay to join these organizations, but also be licensed on top of that. There's a reason for that. These organizations don't want you. They want you to need the agents. Okay, that's just absolutely the truth. It's a barrier of entry as you use in business school. But overall, they have this database. The database is called multiple listing service. That's what you use. And all the data that goes in there is what you use to compare. The comparison is done by the agent or the broker or the person that could use the multiple listing service, sometimes a broker. So sometimes an appraiser, okay? So I have a look here for what is hard. This is Houston Association of Realtors. I happen to have access to Sabre, San Antonio Board of Realtors, and Metrotex information. Again, I'm a broker that operates in all these three areas. It's rare to have one that does all those three areas, but I happen to do it, and I happen to do it for investors mostly. I represent investors mostly. So I talk a lot about comparisons. I talk a lot about value. So right here, I want to show you how I do some of my comparisons. This is the database. This is just the search query. Okay, the database is a whole bunch of data This is the system that we use. In our case, it's called Matrix for our agents. And we are trained. We're trained by brokers again, or Hard.com themselves. And we pay quite a bit to use this system. In this case, I'm using a subdivision called Eagle Springs right off the northeast side of Houston. Okay, so I want to know the situation with Eagle Springs. Let's say I put in Eagle Springs as subdivision, and I put in a result. Give me all the Eagle Springs properties. And there's quite a bit. There's actually plenty. There's about, each one of these have about 25 properties, and there's already 10 pages plus. So that doesn't help you. You want to use criteria changes. So instead, I'm going to be more specific. This is how you find comparisons, right? So let's say if I'm comparing a property that I want to find, some client calls me and says, hey, I have a 4-bedroom in Eagle Springs, and I want to compare it, apples to apples. All I'm doing is eliminating all the properties that are not close to it. Obviously, Eagle Springs is important. So then I can put in square footage. So I'm going to do square footage between 1,200 and 1,800. If the property is 1,500 square feet, then I'm going to do square footage range from 1,200 to 1,800. Again, I'm trying to get the apples, right? And I'm going to say that my fictitious property was built in the 2000s. So if it was built in 2000, I'm going to put year built between 2000 and 2010. Okay, let's see what results we get there. And it definitely minimizes some, but there's still quite a bit of them. Okay, so the criteria will be, give me some active, give me some option pendings, and give me some sold, but between 0 and 180 days. See, the system already put in 180. This is important to know. That's actually one of the factors that is across the board. People want recently sold properties, okay? Value is not stable, okay? As Tamara says, HAR is amazing. As a broker, can you go into HAR and see comparable listings? Yes, Tamara, you can, but it is amazing, but it's an expensive item for us brokers to actually use, which is probably a reason why most brokers don't charge less than 6% to sell your home. Thankfully, that's not me. But yes, I love looking at that website. Overall, the website for HAR is pretty good. The consumer side is definitely well. You could do some comparables there too as well. I just happen to use the system here for my own perspective. But look, I'm going to find these comparables and see, since I put all this information, what do I get? I get a lot smaller of a list. I get some rentals. I get some townhomes or single families. But look, my fictitious property was a single family. See, the more criteria I put, the more it cuts. The more I get apples to apples, right? And there it is. I have 3 properties between 176 and 192. More than likely, my fictitious property is going to have to be listed between 176 and 192. This does not mean whatsoever that my client cannot sell this for 300K. If he wanted to, we could put it for 300,000. However, if my client was to put it out there and it sells, even though we have low comparables, if it's lending, there's going to be an appraisal done by the lender. So the buyer could say, I'll give you 300K for the property that we have no comparables for. But the appraiser will stop the whole system and say there's no comparables for it. There's no data. Okay, so this is where I tell my clients, yes, you could sell it for however you like to. There's nothing against the law for you to sell high. But if it's a lending property, again, lending, if it's cash, I don't know, you sell the overvalued property to a cash person, okay? But if it's lending, the lender is going to make sure that the appraiser comes in, looks at the comparables, use the exact same system as you see here, as you see before you. Brokers and appraisers use the exact same system to go ahead and certify that the property has a certain value. In this case, 300K won't work. The safest bet will be 176 and 192 for 1,500 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom in Eagle Springs subdivision. So that's what I wanted to show you on comparables. This is how you get value. That what I just did was an opinion, by the way. While it was backed up, goes back to my decisions class. Yes, I'm giving you an opinion. Most things out there are an opinion, including appraisals, including broker price opinions, which is the appraisal for the brokers. But it has to be backed up with evidence, and there was my evidence. Appraisals. I need you to know and understand these because this is really important. I get this question all the time from people. What is an appraiser? Guidelines stipulated by an employer, okay? These people are evaluators that have guidelines. Their employer, aka lender, rarely, don't you ever think that you're hiring an appraiser. It's rare that you hire an appraiser unless you're getting some kind of lending. Okay, you're just actually paying the lender to hire an appraiser. The lender is trying to make sure that they're covering all their eggs in one basket. Yes, if you're buying a property cash, you will be the employer, the client, to telling the appraiser. And then the appraiser will give you an opinion on what should be the guidelines, because obviously you're still kind of buying according to the lending guidelines. In this case, Fannie Mae, which we can talk to a little later on what that is about. Licensed opinion, guys. Appraisers are licensed by the Texas Real Estate Commission, the same commission that gets us brokers and agents, but it's a licensed opinion nonetheless. Don't ever dare say it's a fact. It cannot be, okay? It's backed up with factual evidence, in this case, sold comparables like the one I just gave you, okay? All right, so local appraisers are supposed to be locally hired. How local? It's up in the air, okay? As in, it's Katy to Eagle Springs and in Northeast Houston local. That's again up to interpretation. Evaluators, nonetheless, they're not here to add value and give you value on anything. They don't do that. Close supervision on communication, very close. What that means is they can't go speak to the sellers and the buyers, ask their opinion. They can't definitely speak to the buyers and say, hey, what price do you want? That's not allowed, because that is close to fraud, and now it's actually federal fraud. Very guarded, especially since 2008, where appraisers were paid to kind of give them, some appraisers, not all, of course, to be given some kind of value on these homes so they can move them through the lending process. Now, very, very guarded. Wide price ranges that can give you wider appraisal. So if your property is in the 200,000s, you're probably going to get your ranges a little closer. You see what I mean? Look at this range from 176 to 192. That's close. But if this was in the millions, this could be from 700,000 to all the way 1.2 million. So that wide range is wide. Okay. Now you definitely are going to be in the hands of the appraiser. And expensive. An appraisal is expensive. It's around $450, $500, and definitely not a useful as an official comparison. That's not what it is. You're not getting an appraisal and saying, look, I have an appraisal. Anybody that does that, we tell them the same thing. Well, I can get another one. And that other one could be completely different. That's why it's a licensed opinion. Why am I beating this whole appraiser idea so much to you? Because this is actually the standard for comparison for your property. You just really can't. Yes, you can sell your property however price you'd like to if you can, probably cash. And you probably should tell your buyer to sign somewhere that they know what they're doing. Otherwise, you could get in trouble. But the truth is that most people sell their house through lending, and lending does not do anything without an appraiser. So these people dictate the value. This is the reason why in Dallas things are not going crazy, because appraisers are cutting down. Hey, I know that you sold that house for 500K, but it really is 480 because I saw the comparables. So even though the buyer wants to buy it for 500, it's going to be 480. So it keeps the market steady. It wasn't a coincidence that appraisers were very beat up during the 2008 crisis because they were going too easy on these. And some say from, some issues regarding ethical issues, but who would know? Tamara says, I think it will depend on TV again. It does go down to each appraiser have opinions. If one appraiser can give you an appraisal for what their asking price is, you may have to get another one. Exactly. Absolutely. Some lenders, and that's really good, Tamara, I appreciate that comment. Some lenders will ask for two appraisals. And those appraisals, and they'll say, we'll take the lowest. They won't take no average. They'll take the lowest. So you have to realize an appraiser is just that one moment's opinion. And it's much easier if I go to Eagle Springs and I could put these definitions in. But sometimes you go into an area where there's so many homes and so many different. Eagle Springs, they're all, if you could see here, they don't have the age, but they're all built in the 2000s. 2000 to 2010. I know that from experience. But if you go to the Heights, Houston Heights, it'll be from, 50s, 60s, 70s. And then the price was like, whoa, we shouldn't compare the new construction, but they're right next to each other. Opinions. So there are some guidelines, but some of those, some people don't give in or not. So it definitely is an opinion, but we're tied to it. And let me see your next webinar. This is what I plan to do next webinar. I plan to give you the secret of ARV. I wanted to build this foundation for you in comparisons because ARV is everything. If you can't wait, Google it. What is ARV? Let me tell you, the number one, if you're a real estate investor, you live off ARV. This is your foundation. It's like gravity to a physics professor. ARV. Everything comes from ARV. Look it up, and maybe I could see you next week and kind of explain to you how it's tied to comparables and comparisons and your value in your home. But if you're an investor, your shirt would say ARV. That's exactly what you would. That will be the name of your university, ARV. Meets live. Remember, we meet live for 5 Thursdays. This is the second, so we have 3 more. Those who participate get advice, real estate by me. Recordings will be available after some time for the public. Please share this video, put them out there. I will definitely get you an edited version by tomorrow. Cross fingers. And everything for you there, you will share it. If we can have more people participating, I can make more of these videos. If I don't have participants, there's no reason for me to do this. I'm giving you the information for your promotion. I'd like to have about 10, maybe 15 next week, free of charge for you. Please share this video once it's done. Educational only, invest at your own risk, guys. If you have any other further questions, that's it. Thank you, Professor. We will see you next week. Thank you, Kelly. Some of these people, some of these wonderful people are my students, my fellow students, my courses. And I really appreciate you guys participating because honestly, real estate is something that some cultures have it down. Like, I want to let you guys know, real estate in some of these cultures, they have it down. Some of these cultures have been for years and centuries. They have been landlords for centuries. And some cultures have something else now. But this is the wealth that we can pass upon each other. And this could be our culture. Real estate should be for everybody. That way you don't have to work forever. That way you can retire at 45, 50, right? Because that is part of some people's cultures, retire early. Thank you so much. You have a good night.